2 days. 2 days away from President Trump's historic summit with Vladimir Putin in Anchorage, Alaska, on a military base. It'll mark the first time in 10 years the Russian president will step foot on U.S. soil, which is very close to theirs. And while the White House is calling the one-on-one meeting a listening exercise, President Trump is not mincing words, sending a warning shot today.
Russia face any consequences if Vladimir Putin does not agree to stop the war after your meeting on Friday?
Yes, they will. Yeah.
What will the consequences
there will be
be?
Consequences.
Sanctions, tariffs?
There will be, I don't have to say, there will be very severe consequences.
I love it. No matter how this meeting goes, President Trump's dedication to ending this war is clear.
Call President Zelensky, and then I'll call, probably in that order, the leaders. There's a very good chance that we're going to have a second meeting, which will be more productive than the first, because the first is I'm going to find out where we are and what we're doing. If the first one goes okay, we'll have a quick second one. I would like to do it almost immediately, and we'll have a quick second meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky and myself, if they'd like to have me there.
And ideally, they end the conversation with a ceasefire. Here to discuss this and so much more is Brent Sadler, former Pentagon official, senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Brent, we know that Trump is going to go in there and he's going to be tough. What's the best way to handle Vladimir Putin? I talked to the press department over the White House. Vladimir Putin wanted this meeting. Asked Stephen Witkoff to give him this meeting. He's got the meeting. So what's his agenda?
Well, I think it's important first to understand what pressures have been brought to bear to lead Putin to actually finally enter into what appears to be the beginning of a ceasefire negotiation with seriousness. One, there's been additional sanctions and pressure applied, so-called secondary sanctions, on some of the biggest backers and customers of Russian oil, that is India and China. And without China's support, Russia's war machine starts to face severe industrial pressures on it. So I think that, and again, the additional threats on the dark fleet that's moving this oil to other customers, and the European countries and the United States working out a deal to send more equipment and munitions into Ukraine. All of that together, I think, places the pressure to compel Putin to come to the table.
Europeans came out of their call, reportedly, according to the New York Times, convinced that President Trump fully understands a ceasefire had to precede any type of land swap or discussion of giving up any type of land. And that's my words, giving up. He said, quote, does the German chancellor, Trump knows Europe's positions and largely shares them. How do you think Putin feels about that? I'm sure he understands and is reading what we're reading.
Well, in typical Russian form, they're offering as the only negotiating point is a maximalist one, and that's not the true position, what actually can be gotten from the Russians. They're going to try and get as much territory for free. And of course, the Ukrainians are not equipped. They're not going to be able to continue this fight. And to kick the Russians out of Crimea as well as all of the Donbass is certainly a large task. But getting to a defensible line of control between the two, first step, freeze the line right now where it is, and then make sure that any adjustments, trading of territory, doesn't put the Ukrainians in a worse defensible position. A lot has been made of 5 very highly fortified cities in the Donbass Ukraine controls.
So I want you to hear, it seems like the press, as usual, is rooting against President Trump. For example, the New York Times, a writer, Elizabeth Baumiller, slammed Trump for even having this meeting. Listen to this.
This is theater. He wants to show that he's moving forward on some kind of a peace deal. But it set off huge alarms, as you said, in Europe. And the idea that they're meeting without Zelensky there, it's like your parents discussing your future without you involved.
Well, here's an example. I mean, flat out, Vladimir Putin says, I want to meet, but I don't want to meet with Zelensky yet. So the president had a choice. No meeting, or meet one-on-one and see where we go from here. Did he make the right choice?
I think so. I wouldn't put a lot of stock in the New York Times on this. Again, it's really going to be important, as the president is saying, and I think he understands, and I think he is disabused of any kind of goodwill on the part from Putin. It's going to have to come from Russia. Show me in real terms on the battlefield that you're serious. Stop the long-range attacks, stop targeting civilians, and show me that you're serious about a ceasefire before any of the pressure that President Trump is now putting on Putin is let up. I think that's the real test.
It's going to be very interesting. I'll have a chance to talk to the president tomorrow morning on my radio show, and we'll find out his mindset 24 hours from the big meeting as he heads up to Alaska. BrianKilmeadeShow.com. Brent Sadler, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.